From shocking confines of the wild to deadly knots of the town, animals show a whole new side of themselves under extreme duress, getting stuck on steep cliffs, losing way around fixtures, and falling into certain death traps. Here are the times when a man noticed a strange creature and immediately called rescuers. Buck rescued from net. Distressed and depressed, this poor buck in trouble was spotted by a man when he was on a visit to his backyard. With its antlers entangled in the net, the deer was found swinging back and forth, fighting for freedom, because if it had remained trapped, it could have ended up badly for it. But help was at its hand, as the rescuer immediately sprung into action and put his life at risk to save the animal's life. Without using any rescue equipment, he took out his knife to cut down the net. Finally, after tearing apart the net, the buck was free to go. Giraffe stuck in swimming pool. TV celebrities can be pretty crazy, even if they're animals. Lucy, a celebrity giraffe starring in the show Wild at Heart, pranced in a swimming pool, but was evidently stuck as she remained there for several hours. Her caretakers assumed she had fallen into the pool when drinking from it and was forced to stay there because she was 14 months pregnant. Lucy's caretakers made makeshift steps and even coaxed her with food, but Lucy couldn't get out. Eventually, rescuers were called, who then demolished the pool from one side. Lucy finally waddled out at night, earning sighs of relief from all around. Bear trapped in tree. Who knows what fate this bear would have had if it wasn't rescued timely. This 4-year-old bear was found trapped in the middle of thick woods, lucky enough to be discovered by Chinese soldiers who immediately informed forestry workers. The brown bear was badly entangled in a barbed wire, and no one knows how it got there. However, the ripped-off branches show it must have been trapped for a very long time. After putting the animal to sleep, the wires were cut off, and the omnivore was freed. And before moving away, the team also placed some food items so that it may enjoy its freedom fully. Eagle trapped in mud. Submerged in the muddy lake is a nature photographer who is trying to pull something out you can't even imagine. Scared, distressed, and struggling to survive, this 6-month-old eagle was found stuck in a mud bank. This young bird might have been trying to fly when it fell into the sludgy lake and became trapped. However, it was lucky to be noticed by the guy who decided to swim into the oozy pool and rescued the eaglet from a bitter end. After being dragged out to dry land, it was moved to a wildlife sanctuary where it was given the name Icarus, and after complete recovery, it'll be allowed to see the sky again. Cow saved from a rope trap. It does not always take a few minutes or hours to save a life. Sometimes it's a matter of several days or even a month. An injured bull was noticed hiding in the bushes in a small town in India, with a rope tied so tightly around its neck that it was almost embedded there. Someone must have tied the rope when the cow was a calf and forgot to remove it, as the rope didn't grow with the animal and eventually became a deadly trap for it. After capturing the animal, it was moved to a rescue center where, after cutting the rope, its wound was washed carefully and proper medication was started. It took several weeks for the cow to recover, and now it's doing quite well with other members of the farm. Moose stuck on railroad tracks. Accidentally tripping on railroad tracks is terrifying enough, so imagine the sheer panic this moose felt after being trapped on the railway. The moose, weighing a whopping 700 pounds, had thrust its leg into the railroad track, accidentally getting it stuck in an awkward position. The moose had been unable to move for several hours, even after being discovered by rescuers. This is because this mighty animal could injure itself and everyone around it if spooked, so the rescuers had to proceed slowly. Biologists were able to sedate the moose and lifted it up with a sling. This step alone was difficult due to the moose's weight and size, but luckily, everyone in the scenario got out safely. Seal trapped in fishing net. It's not uncommon to find sea animals trapped in fishing nets, but this baby seal was wound up badly. The Seattle officers who found the seal couldn't call animal services, as they felt it was extremely important to get the net out as soon as possible. The officers calmly approached the seal, which kept yapping at them in frustration. The officers managed to cut down the rope, but removing it required the seal to sit still. After a few minutes of wondering what to do, the officers pulled out a tool to hold the seal in place and safely removed the net without harming the seal. The happy seal waddled away, even looking back and smiling at the officers. Horse trapped upside down. A horse tripped and got stuck upside down in a Californian ravine. The rescue mission began somewhere in the morning and carried out well into the evening because of the horse's tricky position. Using a helicopter would have taken a lot of time, so rescuers got their shovels out. The first part of the rescue was focused solely on getting the horse on its side so it wouldn't suffocate. The second part was mainly digging out the ravine so the horse could easily climb out. After several hours, rescuers managed to save the horse, which was miraculously unharmed. The rescue team left after ensuring the horse was in a stable condition. Moose buried under snow. The Canadian winter is nobody's friend, and it was no different for this moose, which was found in a pretty embarrassing situation. You see, the moose is a terrifying animal. It towers over humans and gets angry easily, so most people avoid it. But this moose was buried deep in the snow, which is saying something considering that most adult moose grow up to 2 meters tall. It was apparently unable to get out, so it's extremely lucky that a couple of snowmobilers were able to spot it. A few jabs in the snow with a shovel, and the moose was free to go. Bear stuck in barrel. The way this guy is wrestling the object of the bear's head shows it was stuck too tight. This young bear was found roaming throughout the town with its head enclosed in a bucket, which was actually a rubber airbag. Even after trying, the bear slipped out of the man's grasp and ran away. The rescuers gave chase and ended up in a giant mud hole. Without tranquilizing the animal, they managed to get the bear on the ground and saw off the object, which was fastened tightly around the bear's neck with a metal ring. Right after the rubber trap was torn apart, the bear took no time to make off. Deer stuck in pipe. With its head sealed in a pipe, this poor deer might be thinking about its end when it was spotted by a couple in the middle of a forest. Without having any idea of what to do, the man started to push the deer's head after trying to keep the struggling animal calm. Instead of leaving the animal to die, he kept on trying until its head got out. Once outside the pipe, the deer didn't think twice before running away. Bear stuck in barrel. The way this guy is wrestling the object of the bear's head shows it was stuck too tight. This young bear was found roaming throughout the town with its head enclosed in a bucket, which was actually a rubber airbag. Even after trying, the bear slipped out of the man's grasp and ran away. The rescuers gave chase and ended up in a giant mud hole. Without tranquilizing the animal, they managed to get the bear on the ground and saw off the object, which was fastened tightly around the bear's neck with a metal ring. Right after the rubber trap was torn apart, the bear took no time to make off. Elk antlers in tire swing. This poor elk didn't seem to realize the tire swing was not made for it to play. This poor elk gave a shocking surprise to a lady after it was found wandering with a swing hanging from its antlers. Although it was quite common for her to watch the large animals in her backyard, it was the first time an elk with its head mangled with a tire swing was offering a visit. However, she put up the courage and spent more than 12 hours to set the elk free by cutting off the knots. Fortunately, it was released without any injury, and since then, it visits her often and makes different sounds to pay gratitude to its rescuer. Deer stranded on frozen lake. Now look at this one. This one. And this one. Not just one, but a group of 3 deer was found stranded on a frozen lake in Canada while the man was skating on the same iced platform. The slippery and thin surface of the iced lake was making it impossible for the animals to take steps or even stand properly. So, rescue by skating was the only option. After managing to tie the rope around each of the animals, he dragged the deer to the edge of the ice, where they were able to regain their footing and safely stand. The 2 younger ones took off running right away, but the doe stuck around with what seemed like a minor injury, but was pushed ahead with the help of a wooden stick. Baby hippo saved. Young, alone, and hopeless, this baby hippo got stuck in the same mud in which it was playing. The hippo seemed to have followed the scent of food, but what it thought was water turned out to be gooey sludge. The hippo was found thrashing in the mud, moaning for help. Thankfully, a team from the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust came to the rescue. After a grueling few minutes, the team managed to capture the hippo in a fishing net. The team revealed this female hippo calf was an orphan, so they sedated and airlifted her to the rescue center. The trust named her Humpty after adoption. Baby moose stuck in fence. This baby moose got in a pickle when it tried to cross a fence but landed directly into it. The calf was stuck by the hooves in the fence for God knows how long before these soft-hearted men were able to free it. The men were quite lucky the calf was on its own, because the presence of a parent can make it increasingly difficult to approach the baby animal. This poor calf was stuck so badly that even the rescuing men had to bring out an axe to save it. The moose realized the men were heroes and stayed with them for a few minutes before galloping away. What a cute end! Newborn foal. These farmers were approached by a frantic horse mama, unable to rest because her foal had fallen in the most unexpected place ever. The horse, named Bonica, had given birth the previous night, so farmers were instantly suspicious when she showed up worried without her foal. Following the mother horse, the farmers made an astonishing discovery. The newborn foal had fallen into the crevice of an ant nest and was making sorrowful noises from there. The farmers dug up the ant nest and pulled up the young foal, finally calming Bonica. The babe's survival was a miracle, so the farmers named it Ant in honor of its bravery. The Pumpkin Prison. Earlier this year, the residents of Michigan City reported a deer, which was seen in different locations in a very bizarre condition. The deer named Lucky had its head trapped in a pumpkin-shaped bucket, which was making it difficult for the animal to eat or even breathe. Finally, after remaining trapped for more than 2 weeks, a rescue team was able to lure Lucky to a net, after which they quickly removed the plastic pumpkin from its head, detangled it, and let it go to live free. Deer face trapped in bucket. This might be more grotesque than the previous one, as here, this deer chose a bucket for its head to be stuck inside. With its mouth trapped inside a paint container, this deer was found circling into the ice-cold water. Watching the animal in trouble, a man quickly jumped in for the rescue, but had to move back after noticing the deer moving further away from the shore. Luckily, he was able to call a boat for help, and after getting closer to the scared animal, he quickly grabbed the bucket to release the animal. However, it still needed a hand to get to the shore, and once on the edge, it struggled a bit and made its way to a new life. Before we move any further, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you can keep watching our amazing content. Kangaroo saved from mud trap. Look at this pile of mud and tell me you see something. You don't, right? Well, believe it or not, underneath this heap of dirt is a forlorn kangaroo. The kangaroo was spotted in the Australian outbacks, but it was stuck in so deep that it was unrecognizable. Luckily, the Australian Wildlife Rescue Team heard of the kangaroo and dropped everything to rescue it. The rescue mission took well over a few hours because the mud was so dense. An excavator was brought out, which finally pulled the kangaroo back to life. This kangaroo had one heck of a day. Alaskan moose cub trapped under hammock. Life doesn't always give you lemons. Sometimes it leaves the calf of an aggressive animal outside your porch. These residents of Anchorage, Alaska, had to contact the Animal Rescue Service because a young moose calf had been trapped underneath their heavy, metallic hammock. The homeowners were hesitating to save the baby because the mother moose was sitting nearby. Moose are terrifying as is, but combine that with motherhood? That's a deadly mix. Thankfully, the rescuers showed up quickly and were able to sedate the mother, which finally let the homeowners save the young calf. The animal rescue team tagged the moose to ensure they stayed on the right track. Baby moose caught between rocks. Mother Nature can be pretty cruel, and those unaware of its fierce nature can consult this video. This baby moose had presumably just been born, but was left alone by its mother. To make matters worse, the calf was trapped between rocks submerged in water. So not only was this newborn calf alone, but quite close to death when rescuers found it. Fortunately, the people who found her were able to pull her stuck hoof from the crevice. The baby moose instantly took a liking to the men, and even followed one of them after being rescued. The men led the calf back to its mom and ensured its safety before driving away. Kitten stuck in a log. Desperate to get out, this little kitty kept meowing for help. The little kitten was found stuck in a log where it had crawled up so high it was impossible to get out without cutting the log. The kitten tried wriggling out, but eventually gave up, imploring the rescuers for a hand. The kind-hearted rescuers immediately got to work, but they had to be extremely careful because the slightest chop in the wrong direction could be deadly. After an hour of careful chipping away the log, the rescuers managed to free the kitty, which instantly took off from the traumatic location. Submerged under concrete drain. While no one really knows how it got stuck there in the first place, rescuing it sure took a lot of patience. Residents from Ahmedabad, India, found this troubled donkey who was wrapped under a concrete drain with a hole from where its head could partially be seen. Villagers, upon discovering the distressed animal, first started to make the hole bigger to get it big enough for the donkey to be able to get out. Once the hole was big enough, the Good Samaritans tied rope going around its lower body before pulling it upwards and out. Baby zebra rescued. In October 2021, a group of people were on safari when they noticed this young zebra stuck between the narrow opening of trees. With the baby zebra showing signs of exhaustion and dehydration, it was believed to have remained stuck for at least 2 days. The safari group then helped free the little one by lifting its hind legs and unhinging it from the trees. As the little zebra was finally out of the tree, it began struggling to get back on its feet for several minutes, presumably due to its entire lower back getting numbed before being reunited with the parents. Kangaroo freed. Judging from the skeletal structure of a kangaroo and the nature of a road grate, it was only a matter of time before something like this would happen. A transport driver, while driving on the outskirts of Queensland, Australia, noticed an animal stuck upside down on a grate in between the road. The driver found it to be a kangaroo that was pulled out and set free. With a drain underneath the grate, the kangaroo may have attempted to investigate, only to slip through and have its body structure work against itself and trap it. Tar-trapped baby goat. This is how the consequences of careless disposing of tar tends to look like. This baby goat was found and rescued by an animal rescue team in South Africa. The entire body of the goat was covered by tar that had dried up and turned its body into a stone. Its legs were stuck together, one of its eyes was blocked, and it was dehydrated. The rescuers spent 3 days of oil baths to remove the stones and clean her up. After 3 long days of baths and cleaning, this baby goat, Shuri, was finally transformed back to the life she deserves. Puppies trapped in tar. The Animal Aid Unlimited India team discovered 3 small puppies stuck in a puddle of tar. The puppies, desperate for help, were howling in pain and were relieved to see the rescuers. The rescue team spent hours cleaning the tar and eventually got the dogs out, but they had a long road of recovery ahead. The rescuers took care of the puppies for several days, massaging oil onto their fur to get rid of every last bit of tar. The cute puppies were returned to their mother, who was happy to be reunited. Rhino snout stuck in tire. Rhinos are one of the fiercest predatory animals out there. Coming across a rhino is about as dangerous as you think, so it's rare for people to willingly go toward one. But this team of rescuers had no option but to be brave, because this particular rhino in Zimbabwe had stuck its snout into a rubber tire. The tire was one of several hundreds of pollutants that popped up to the shore after the local lake had receded. Approaching the rhino took a few tries, especially since angering it could be dangerous for everyone involved. Rescuers eventually tranquilized the rhino to remove the tire. The rhino returned to its herd after it slowly regained consciousness. Puppies imprisoned in an underground pipe. You'd think an underground pipe would carry sludge, dirt, and water. Anything but animals. But this group of people was stunned to find not 1, but 3 small puppies in a concrete pipe. The rescuers don't know how the puppies could have gotten in that position, especially since the pipe was so narrow, but it's possible the puppies crawled into the space accidentally. So, how were these puppies rescued? Despite being deeply buried, the puppies could be heard wailing well above the ground. Their cries led the rescuers to them, who then dug up the concrete pipe, carefully breaking it in places, and pulled out the dogs. Donkey trapped in a tree. This poor donkey was found in a tight spot, quite literally. The donkey was probably stuck in the tree for hours until these kind-hearted people showed up. Unfortunately, the tree space was so narrow that it was quite impossible to separate the donkey without injuring it. After a few failed attempts of pulling the donkey out, the rescuers had no choice but to saw the tree. You can see how risky cutting the tree is, since it's so close to the donkey. A simple slip of the hand could have severely injured this donkey, but the rescuer managed to pull it off. Dog stuck in mud. Pet owners aren't always responsible, as you can see from this video. This pet dog was found by a stranger, and thank the heavens for that, because this cute doggo was stuck in deep mud. The dog had given up entirely and was sitting mute until its savior found it. You can see the helplessness in the dog's eyes and the instant relief when it realizes the man recording it is there to help. Don't worry though, because the dog is safely back with its family and is probably getting heaps of treats and scratches. Sheep stuck in a toy car. What seems to be a harmless situation is really no joke for this sheep. The fluffy animal is stuck head first in a toddler's car, probably dumped somewhere close by fly tippers. The sheep seems to have gotten used to the obstacle as it trots casually, but surely the poor fool misses being free. The video was filmed by a passerby and plastered all over social media, and although we can't see it, we're pretty sure animal rescue services have freed the sheep of its predicament. Let's hope no more innocent animals are trapped by harmful toys and items that we carelessly throw around. Horse trapped in mud. This 17-year-old horse found itself in a sticky situation and was saved by a team of animal rescuers. The horse had suddenly rushed into the Bronx River while riding, possibly after being spooked by something on land. The fear pushed the horse several meters into the muddy water, and when it finally slowed down, it realized it was stuck in the mud. The horse probably struggled for hours and gave up because rescuers found it collapsed and close to drowning. The brave team gradually pulled the horse to the shore, where it was met by cheering family and loving prayers. Coyote stuck in fence. Take a look at this wild animal rescue that probably took the rescuer a couple of "you can do this" chance to initiate. This brave man walked to the metal fence and pried open its prongs to free a wild coyote. See how the coyote is dangling from the fence with one foot up in the air? It was probably hanging like that for hours. The poor fella even looks embarrassed. This is probably why the coyote didn't budge when the man finally freed it from its painful entanglement. Kingfisher glued to cold metal. Imagine going out for a jog and coming across a poor animal stuck in the cold. This is exactly how it went down for this one jogger, who found a small kingfisher in a pitiable condition. The kingfisher had perched on a metal grill, but was stuck on it due to the cold. The bird can be seen attempting to fly away, but its feet are firmly rooted to the ground. Luckily, this sympathetic jogger realized the kingfisher was stuck and used his hands to warm it. The kingfisher remained scooped up in the rescuer's hands for a few minutes before it finally flew away. Polar bear dramatic rescue. In July 2008, a top animal rescue team in Newfoundland, Canada, were called in to rescue a 300-pound female polar bear that was stranded on a sheer, slippery cliff. The polar bear was first shot by a tranquilizing dart and then carefully approached from above and below, along with a human-sized stretcher basket, with a plan to lower her into the water. They tie a sling around the bear and lower her with sheer strength. As the bear slips and falls into the water, they face another challenging risk to lift the bear out of the water to breathe until the effects of tranquilizing darts wear off. In doing so, it was then moved ashore and safely taken into custody. Daring heron rescue. This heron was certainly facing a terrible end until help arrived. A fully grown heron was found dangling from a tree trunk in the middle of nowhere in the ocean, having its beak stuck by the knot of a fishnet. The boaters were kind enough to help the poor heron free by carefully cutting off the fishing line knot around its beak and making sure that it didn't have any underlying injuries before it flew away. While this heron may have had luck on its side, there might be several other marine animals who may not. Dog and chicken stuck together. Either this is the case of how chicken nuggets are made, or the result of the dog sticking up its business in the wrong place. This TikTok video shows a dog and a chicken that got stuck together after the dog imposed itself in an attempt to mate. This is due to the bulbous glandus in male dogs that tends to swell and form a knot into its canine significant other during the final phase of mating. This locking together for several minutes is normal among dogs to ensure effective mating, but in this case, it was with a chicken. Stuck in butt. If the cubs survive this, it's probably going to be a laughingstock of the pride forever. In August 2011, a group of tourists were on a tour at the Kruger National Park when they came across a huge pride of lions that were feasting on an African buffalo. Fascinated by the ferociousness of its elders, one of the cubs attempted to be aggressive, only to find its head getting stuck in the buffalo's anus. With almost everyone busy in a feast, no one comes to help the little one who was desperately trying to break free. Bullhead cat. Instances like these are what the old expression of "curiosity killed the cat" stands for. This 6-month-old kitten was discovered on the streets of Boston with a bull stuck around its head. A field agent from the Animal Rescue League used a humane drop catch to catch the kitten, who they later nicknamed Buzz Lightyear, and were able to remove the glass bowl from the head. Seeing how cute and helpless the cat seems to be, Buzz Lightyear would make a great house cat. It's time for today's open discussion. With a brown furry body and head like an astronaut's helmet, this strange picture you're watching right now is a deer that appeared in headlines after it was spotted in a very bizarre situation. This animal gave a surprise to a homeowner in Monmouth County after it was spotted wandering in the town with its head stuck in a light fixture. Suffocated and unable to eat or drink, the troubled animal might be looking for help. Thankfully, an animal rescue team was able to tranquilize the animal, after which the glass bowl was removed and the buck was free to go back into the wild. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.